Happy Friday. We made it through another week of work. And we're rewarded with more work. Hey, Ryson, you played Mini Delivery. It was fun. I appreciate that. Thank you. $72-hour game jam that one was. That was good. That was good stuff. I don't think I'll probably do much Godot 3D stuff, but I didn't mind it. You got to 31 out of 35 in 15 minutes, but you got clipped by a car. No, by a police car even. Oh, no. Yeah. Rip. Well, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good run. Usually what gets me is I round a corner and a pedestrian is right there and just stomps on my face. That's usually how I die. Or I drive full speed down like an alleyway and hit a cat or something like that. All right, so what were we doing? We were rewriting our sweet hull type code in, and it looks way less offensive here, probably because of the lack of braces. That's a nice thing about GDScript. It's like vertically dense. But when I look at it here, it looks terrible. There's probably ways we can make it look less terrible. But the car rig, the built-in car rig that Godot provides, yeah, it was. It's the vehicle body 3D. It's good. I had to tune it. I spent like 6 hours tuning it over probably the course of the jam. Maybe even 8 hours. It's really hard to get working exactly right, and has some core problems that I was not able to address at high speeds, so I just lowered the speed of the game, which is a little unfortunate. It still, I think, is good. The theme for the jam was 2 buttons only. It was a toss-up between 2 buttons only and Can't Stop Moving, so I was like, this is my theme, or this is my idea. It'll work for either theme. So yeah, the original version of the game had these these kind of rough two button controls. I switched it to I added the unlocked controls after the jam, which lets you do like which gives it controller support and stuff, which is definitely the preferred way to control it. All right, so this is our adaptation of the get hull type stuff. Oh, you played the original controls. Well, more power to you. Those controls are rough. All right, so we wrote our first pass, which is just setting the tile thing here. I feel like I should change the way this works. So I feel like we should say... tile equals new. Oh, I want to add a constructor to the tile thing. So the tile constructor, the main constructor is going to be vector 2i position, int area, int layer. I need to change my naming convention for this, I think. Because area refers to like what your Z is. So I feel like we could make that part of position. And then layer is like what block type do you correspond to. And not only what block type do you correspond to, but like what's your subtype? Like, are you an X face or a Y face or a Z face? I don't know. This is a little weird. I guess it's more of a layer ID than it is anything else. I don't know. Let's not worry about it. So we'll say position equals position, area equals area, layer equals layer. Okay. So let's get rid of this tile.null thing. Unless we maybe want a comparison. Let's keep it around for comparing, but let's stop doing that as we are awkward assignment we're doing. Let's say tile equals new tile. And we're gonna get, are we storing this absolutely or relatively? I think we're storing it relatively. So I think we say relpos.xy, relpos.z, and then we say layer. Well, we don't need to say relpos.z, we can just say area. And we can say tile position is, we can swap this out with tile. And then all we're doing is adding the hull type. And that's a little less weird. We could also just define the hull type here. We could say variable hull type. Or we would say tile.hull hull. We could just say, you get through all of this. Is there a, no, because this resolves itself no matter what. I guess it doesn't really matter. We can do all of this and then we can say tiles position key equals tile with hull type. Oh, tile with hull type equals hull type. Let's say hull. I don't want to move hull out of tile. This is actually not specific to tile. I'm going to make a new script for it. Oops. But how's it going, Ryson? Congrats on resolving those crazy tile set issues. They seem really intense. I'm amazed that you kind of got through it all so quickly. This is going to break everything. Why are you like this? There we go. Call this hull, not hull type. And now we're changing everything. We're just going to say hull, hull. Here we're just defining hull. We're just going to say hull is hull.outer. That not work? Oh, we don't need to say that. We say this. I don't love that this does it like this. It's kind of, we want to do like an either. If either of these is the case, then we do this. But oh, the music's still on. I keep forgetting to turn that off now. Because I'm not listening to it. Man, algorithm boss fight was playing again. This is why we don't play music the whole stream. The same song was playing yesterday when I realized the music was still playing. Sorry, I'm finishing up a little snack. My stream time is kind of when like you would probably normally have lunch in my time zone. So I need a little bit of a snack before, and then I usually have lunch after. All right, so this is, I'm shortening this up to such an extent that we can probably get rid of all these braces and make this less insane to look at. Which is kind of a dumb thing to spend time on, but what does it mean when a struct is underlined like this? Sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. Like tile is a local variable. These are all local variables and they're not underlined, but this one is. This one is. This one is. I don't know why Writer does that. I feel like if I did know, I would have some understanding. I would have an improved understanding of what's going on. Because it's not just local variables, it's like structs in class declarations. Yeah, there's just sometimes it's underlined and I don't understand. I could probably just Google it. Loki Trickster, afternoon. Hey, how's it going? Happy Friday. If you're a Friday enjoyer. If you're not, I understand. How's it going? Welcome in. It doesn't say first time chatter, so I feel like I've seen you here before. All right, we're reducing the amount of vertical insanity of all of these one-liners, making this a little easier to read. So that's good. We'll move past this very quickly because I want to move on to the second pass, which is source ID, atlas chords, and alternative tiles. And that's the only additional information we need. And then we should be able to convert this dictionary to a series of packed byte arrays and shove them back into Godot. We'll have to decide how we're going to do that. Tile is new tile. Yep, just like that. Working, so it's going. You swing by a variety of streams, especially when they're Godot related. Hell yeah. Love to see it. What kind of Godot stuff do you do? I really want to do something about this buffer, because we're indexing into the buffer by getting the position index of, it's the opposite position. So this is the position of the opposing block. So we get the position of the opposing block like this by adding the op block for this axis to our relative position. So basically we're getting like the block in, so if we're in X, we get the block in front of, oh, it's the other way. The block in front of our current block along the X axis relative to the screen, like relative to the camera. And so we do that. But now we get that, but now we're turning it back into its absolute position. Then we're adding the position along our door axis, which is strange. And then we're making it relative again. So we turn it back to absolute position so that we can add the absolute door axis back to it. And then we turn it back into a relative position. Then we get the block in that buffer at that position, and then we ask if that block is outside. I need some kind of helper function for this. Maybe I have like a get relative neighbor X or something like that. I don't know. Get foreground X. I don't know. Four tile X. I don't know. Four as in four back. Loki, you got a few projects. The one you were working on most recently is a virtual pet project. You're working to get Twitch integrations so viewers can take care of Digimon Tamagotchis. Up to 70 Digimon. You want to finish the evolution path and release video one? Hell yeah. That's really cool. You probably watch who is the streamer that's also working on like a Digimon kind of game? It's really cute. Can't remember their name, but we used to raid them quite a bit. They're doing like a Digimon with guns kind of game, and it's not like Pal World. It's different. Magnetonics, no. It's like a. I think they have like a. I think it's more. I don't know. I'll think about it. Let me think about it. It'll probably pop into my head. I always had a hard time spelling their name when I would raid them. Cool if there was like a raid history. There probably is somewhere, and I just don't know where it would be. All right, well, let's finish this. So, yeah, I don't love this. I don't know a better way to do this right now, so we're not going to worry about it. This works. It's just horrible. I should call this turn counterclockwise to this angle, because it's not turn this angle, it's turn to this angle. I'm going to do that real quick. Probably change this. We'll probably change this from the concept of an angle to like a projection. Because we're probably eventually going to handle more than just these four. But for right now, this is okay. Here we're just saying all equals this. Yeah, I don't love this. I'm going to say hull equals this. I'm going to do that to try to make that a little more readable. Well, that project sounds really awesome. Back, what did you miss? Nothing, Ryson. I'm just reordering this a little bit to make it a little less terrible. Just a little bit of refactoring of what we did yesterday. And then we're going to move on to the second pass, which is the exciting pass where we set the things like the source IDs and Atlas chords and stuff. We can also do this. Just try to reduce the amount of nesting we're seeing. Or is this an else? Yeah, okay, we can't do that. We could say else Do this instead. I just need to not forget the else. All right. It's not meaningfully different, but it's less terrible to look at. Again, here's something that's curious. So here, up here, hull is underlined, right? Down here, hull is not underlined. It's probably because I'm not doing anything with it. Let's do something with it first. So down here, we'll say, just grab this. We're doing this in each for loop, yeah. Are we checking something here? We should be checking this as well. We should do this check way at the top. And we should similarly be doing that check here, but for layer form. Because if this isn't the layer form that we're interested in, can't convert that to a constant. I don't know why you think I can. Oh, I guess I can. File time constant, interesting. I guess layer form, we can just get rid of this concept. Might reintroduce it later. This was more for a generic loop. Okay. I need to know. I'm like losing my mind. I need to ask this question. JetBrains writer. Why are some variables underlined? Ah, so an underline. This is a gray underline. I see. This is a variable that is reassigned at some point. Fascinating. Okay. Makes sense. I don't know about gold. I think the gold underline means that it's a struct instead of a class. So I think classes don't have underlines, but structs do. And then gray is reassigned. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. So if it doesn't have an underline, it's a gray underline. It's only assigned once. That's fascinating. Okay. Kind of a nice quick check if you're not sure about something like that. All right, that should all work. I guess I should run it to see if it's crashing. I'm probably not running this system. Oh, but we didn't even get to build, so good. Tool system. New block form face. Oh. Uh, another constructor. What do you want me to use here? Default? What do you want me to use here? Tell me. No, I don't want to make that optional yet. Because it shouldn't be. It just, well, maybe it should be. Not yet. Eventually I will make part optional. Okay, it runs. That's good. Oh, the input handler doesn't exist. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I'm sure you're having errors. I hate having to create this and destroy this anytime I want to show something off. Oh, I don't know why I did that. That's, yeah, not what I wanted to do. This should work now. It did. Should be fine when we run it in debug mode as well. Uh, some leaks, some rendering leaks, but that's fine. I'll worry about that later. All right, so we can move on now. So move on to the second pass where we set the source ID, atlas coords, and alternative tiles. So how are we going to do that? So for here, this should be the same for everybody. So is this line the same here as it is here? It should be. Oh, it's not. Okay. That makes sense. So Z facing is a bool. And that is Z facing is just whether our axis is Z. Okay, that's fine. But it's that as an int. Okay. I can hang with that, I guess. Fascinating. We do that, then we get the atlas coords, and then we get the alt tiles. Okay, so source ID. So can we do the source ID and then, so we iterate through every tile ID. We don't really keep the concept of tile IDs per se. We've merged that with our hull type representation. So that's fine. So we're basically going to go through everyone. We're going to get all the values out of this dictionary is what we're going to do. So we're going to say variable tile values equals tiles dot get, what is it called? How do I get a key value array? Dot values. Oh, I can just call this tiles. So this is, let's use a targeted type. Dot value collection is such a weird thing. Like, what is this? What is a value collection? Is it like a kind of array or a list? It's a very strange thing. Let's look at it. What are you? You're a generic, you're a kind of systems collection. You behave like a list, right? Or do you behave like an array? The order of the values in the value collection is unspecified. I don't care. It's the same order as the keys. That's fine. So we could actually do this a little differently. Right now we're storing the keys in the values, which makes this bigger than it needs to be. Oh, interesting. So the value collection actually refers back to the original dictionary. So changes to that dictionary would be reflected in this value collection. That's fascinating. Can I just make it an array? I could copy it to an array. Do I need to do that though, or can I just easily iterate? I presume it has an iterator. It is an I collection. It should be able to do that. It's a read-only collection. It's I enumerable for the value. Yeah, okay, we don't need to do any of this stuff. So these are our tiles. These are all the tiles that we just specified here. And we'd say for tile in tiles. We'd say for tile in tiles. Can we not do that? Thought I could do that. Oh, for each. I'm an idiot. So we're going to say bool z facing is tile dot layer equals axis dot z. Actually, it's not a bool, is it? Or it's a bool as an int. Super weird. Oh, that's how you want me to do this? Okay. Should it be 0 or 1 though? 1 or 0. Gustavo, hey, how's it going? Food, yummy. Yes, yeah, I'm having some apples and some trail mix as my snack, as my lunch substitute right now. How's it going, Gustavo? Happy Friday. All right, so we got our z-facing variable, which we need. And now we look at the hull type. So our source ID is this function, but only if we're a floor. So we say, well, this process is also different. Man, this is rough. We're gonna need to come up with a better way to do this as far as separating the logic for floors and walls. Or we're just gonna say if we're gonna say if tile dot layer is less than 3. We'll do it. We'll do the floors, else we'll do the walls. Yeah, I really want to split this out so we actually do dedicated processing for floors for the different block types. I don't want to do it like this. But the benefit of doing it like this is we just have one dictionary that we're writing to. So I don't know. If I make the layers entities and I like iterate through the layer entities, then we have other problems as far as how to get this tile information back. I mean, if each layer has its own, ultimately has its own buffer that it writes to, that's fine. But the thing is, that's kind of a waste of memory. Because right now we're using a dictionary, but the buffer is like an array. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I want to end up doing. You're doing good? You worked a bit in your project today too? Hell yeah. Whatever you can do, whenever you can do it. That's what it takes, right? This isn't gonna work, is it? We need to actually put this down here. Because this works, but this one needs to be tile.layer divided by 2. We could say this. We could say tile. We could say axis. Yeah, this is pretty gross, but it works. So here we'll say tile.source ID. Wait, why is this lowercase? Oh, wait, what's happening? Oh, shoot. I know what's happening. I need to get rid of these. And I need to say position, area, and layer. That's a quirk of a read-only, the public read-only record struct. When it wants to do all of this stuff for you. So if you define a primary constructor, it makes these properties, like gives them backing values, and it does a lot of stuff for you automatically with CodeGen, which is nice, but I don't want to mess with it right now. So we just do it this way instead. So now here I say tile dot layer. If you want to remind me what project you're working on, Gustavo, I'd love to hear about it. Tile.source ID. So here's the magic. So in this case, tile.source ID is this. So it's not hull types, it's tile.hull as an int. God, I hope this works. Tile.source ID. Oh, we can't do site. We can say tile. We need to say. You say variable source ID int source ID equals default int atlas coords equals, oh, it's not int, vector 2i atlas coords equals vector 2i dot 0, and then int alt tile equals default. You just say 0. Actually, we want to say -1. This could be default. So we're going to say source ID is this. It's really gross. We're playing fast and loose with our enums. We're casting them to ints all the time. That's what we did in Godot. It seemed fine. We're using the same hull type enum values, aren't we? We better be. Oh, Jesus. Why are these flags? I don't use them as flags. Well, this messes up the math quite a bit here. We can fix it though. So what I think it's doing is we're saying hull divided by 2. So that's getting us into 1, 2, 3. Is that divided by 2? So if we remove that part. No, that's getting us into, so the divided by 2. So dividing hull tile by 2 is it getting us to 0, 1, 2. So that's actually the values you want is 0, 1, 2. Okay. This is stupid. That's not our value for hull. We have a null value. Okay, that's fine. We can change that. We can get rid of the null. make this 0, 1, 2, just so that it works. We can change that later because I don't like having, I like having undefined initial values so you can tell if something's been not formed correctly. So you can get rid of the division. Oh, we still need that. What am I doing? So in this case, it's just Hall times 4 plus Z facing. It's interesting. Gustavo, you're making a very simple spaceship shooter with Godot, trying to get the hang of the engine. All right, that sounds good. It's been a mixed experience. Something very easy to do, something very odd. Yeah, that's my experience as well with Godot. And then I get kind of used to the weirdness, and then I'm trying to rewrite some of this code in C#, and the weirdness is like, oh, yeah, we did that way because that's what GDScript wants you to do. And then I get back here and I'm like, oh, that's very unusual. Excuse me. Spaceship shooter. I assume you mean like a game where you're like piloting around a little ship from the top down and you're shooting stuff. Like a twin stick shooter. Or a shmup, as they're occasionally called. That's cool. I think that's a great way to get started. Okay, so then here, source ID is going to be, here source ID is this. So we say source ID equals int tile dot hall. Get rid of the divided by 2. Okay, so that's source ID. Now we need atlas coords, which is this, which is a little rough. So here we can actually say, instead of asking if dimension is x or y, we can just ask if z facing is false. We can say is z facing 0. Actually, I don't want to do this. I want to say z facing is a bool. And then here we'll say plus. There's no defined behavior for casting a bool to an int. Okay, that's fine. We can say z facing is true. Say that. Say, I'd rather do that here than bake that into, oh, we can just say z facing. We can just do that. I'd rather do that than bake it into the variable itself. Yeah, that's it. Oh, cool. That's really great. Yeah, I think ultimately, even though it's a little awkward sometimes, I don't know if there's a better engine for 2D than Godot. I really enjoy it. I think for 3D you have a lot more choices, and I wouldn't begrudge anyone doing a 3D project in another engine, but I also still think Godot is great for 3D. I just think it's not quite so obviously the right choice as it is in 2D, in my opinion. It's just obviously the right thing that you'd want to do. So we say if, oh, are we in the wall or the floor? What are we looking at right now? We're looking at the wall, so let's keep doing that. So we'll say, so if we are not z facing, I'm just gonna open this code in. I'm gonna try to open this code in here and see if I can actually look at it. That's the scene code. this. Okay, yeah, this is better. I tried copy and pasting it and then reformatting it, and it was disgusting, but at least I can render. It doesn't look great, but at least I can render GD script in Writer. We also have ads that are about to hit in a moment. I'll probably finish my snack while the ads are here. We get 3-minute ads every hour to avoid pre-rolls on the Twitch side. And usually I just work right through the ads because, you know, we have people on the YouTube side that don't get the ads, so. Why is everything italicized? Like, it's weird. So yeah, first line is, so we initialize the atlas chords to 0, which is interesting. And I am doing that. Maybe I just say vector 2i dot 0. Retro, hey, wow, episode 125. Far along is this game? Not very, would be the answer. If I can fix whatever compiler error we have here, I can show you, we're working on tools. We're working on tools for an isometric FTL-like game. So we're working on tools that will let us build 3D like ships that are actually being rendered in 2D using an isometric tile set that I built. So I have a custom auto tiler tool, and that's kind of what we're working on right now, is improving that tool. So that tool is like this. I got to do one more thing. When I want to demo it, I have to change some configuration things or it breaks because of all the stuff that we're doing, the new stuff that we're doing. This should work though. So you can imagine like here's a roof, and then here's the actual block. But yeah, the first 100-something episodes have been largely about prototyping. We try something out, it doesn't work, we throw it away, we start over, we try something else. But I'm pretty happy with this format now, so we can build these 3D ships. We've got this sweet little auto tiler. I'm going to turn it around. But we've built a new simulation layer in C#, which is separate from the Godot scene tree. And so we're trying to get everything to work with that setup. But yeah, eventually we'll be able to build these little 3D ships. Right now they're like flying cinder blocks, but you can build these 3D things. That's kind of currently where we're at. So, you know, maybe not as far along as I would have liked, but that's kind of the way it is when you build something new. You spend a lot of time experimenting. And you try stuff, it doesn't work. You try something else, it doesn't work. Eventually you figure something out. And then you realize you have to rebuild the whole thing because of this consequence over here. But we're persistent. But anyway, welcome in. Retro, awesome. You love isometric. You love FTL. You love custom tools. Thank you. You bet it'll be really cool watching your crew walk around and do their thing from this perspective. I am really desperately hoping that is the case because I'm kind of breaking all of the rules about how you should do something like this. Like we have prototypes, but they're technical prototypes of like how do you pathfind around a 3D network like this, or like how do you handle visibility problems, or how do you do the layering of the tiles? Because we ended up building a crazy custom auto tiler to do this. So I have all these technical prototypes, but we're kind of taking it on faith that the game play is fun. But you know, it's FTL, so we at least have as long as we stick close enough to the FTL design, we know that there's something there, right? I'm just very concerned that this is going to be like a 3D chess situation where it's like chess is good enough. 3D chess doesn't really add anything to the table. I'm just trying to avoid that. Only Greb over on the Twitch side says, "Hey, Digital Iliad, you've always been entering my stream. Something you want to question. On your game, will the player be able to build the ships? Or does the system only exist for you to build the ships like FTL that the ships already exist?" Yeah, that's a good question. I'm building it for me, firstly, but because I can't be bothered to do this stuff manually. But you might have noticed, if I get rid of this again, this is just running in game. This is not like an editor tool. This is just the in-game functionality. So yeah, all of our editor tools, excuse me, are going to work in game. That's like my goal. So because that's the case, maybe. I don't know. I need a good gameplay justification for it. Like it might be as simple as you're able to rearrange the furniture or the layout. Like there might be constraints for what a player can do during a run, but I want at least modders to be able to do it. Like it would be important to me that modders could be able to make new ships, right? So people can make, their potentially copyright infringing like Firefly mods and stuff like that. Like people are going to want to do that stuff. Um, and I don't want to support copyright infringement, but I want to support editor tools. I want people to be able to build the things that are interesting to them. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of just trying to dog food these tools, right? Like I'm trying to test them out myself so that if they work well, other people could use them. And yeah, the having them run in the game instead of in an editor, in the Godot editor is very helpful for a lot of reasons. So yeah, maybe. But welcome in, Only Greb. Appreciate you lurking, even if you're not chatting. I try to make this as chill a co-working stream as I possibly can, so people can hang out, whether they're working or just unwinding or whatever. Retro FTL fans always wanted more modding capabilities. They were somewhat limited. I know there's some pretty wild, like the universe. I don't know what it's called. Is it FTL Universe or something like that? There's some huge mods that I've been meaning to try in FTL that are just like really significant that I never got to play. So there's definitely mod support, but yeah, that's something I want because I'm an indie, right? So I'm really limited in terms of my bandwidth to create content. So that's why I'm mostly comfortable spending all my time building systems, because if I build the systems and the systems are good, down the line I can get help with content. Whether that means me like whether that means like user generated content or me like contracting out or something. Like the systems need to be solid. The tools need to support the content generation. And that's what we're going for. All right, Atlas chords. First, an apple. Okay, here's a bunch of code we don't care about. Excuse me. You could hear the crunching there. I apologize. We're recalculating the whole type of the floor beneath us? No. We're checking the floor type because we only have wall information. So we're checking to see. Why do we need to do this? I mean, I get why we need to check this to an extent, but what are we setting? So we're saying our floor, is this our floor type? Oh, we're looking at our own floor. We're figuring out the hull type of our own floor so that we can tell if we need to draw an outline between our wall and our floor. That's what we need to do. Okay, that makes sense. And if we do that, that affects our atlas chords by 1. That makes sense. That makes sense. Because our auto tiler is doing a lot of the outlining for us. It's doing all the outlining for us, to be clear. So instead of doing this, I can say, so we already have the relative coordinates. What do we need the absolute coordinates for? Nothing. We aren't using them. The opposite coordinates we are using. So we're doing this just to calculate the other floor, our own floor's hull type. So instead, we should be able to say, this. We should be able to ask, we can say hull floor, or we can say deck hull equals buffer comp dot get position index tile dot, we'd say new vector 3i tile dot position area. Well, hold on. We're not checking the buffer. We're checking our own. We're looking for a tile. We're going to say tiles new. Well, we're going to say tiles as in the dictionary, not the value collection. We're going to say tiles new vector 4i. It's, do I support a vector 2 and then 2 ints? No, I don't. I need to do that. Hold on. Stand by. We need to add a new constructor to the vector 4. So you need a constructor that lets us build it out of a vector 2. Vector 2i value 1, or we could say z value. Int w value. We could also just say z and w. We're going to say z and w values. Error occurred while parsing entity name. Oh, it's this ampersand. We can't use ampersand. Cast a vector 2i, pending 2 values to the end. Okay, cool. Now we can use that. I love the little Godot icon here in Writer. I wish it rendered. I should try the Godot plugin, the GDScript plugin, because this is usable, but it looks terrible. I just don't write GDScript in this in the Writer. So right now our we count up from the bottom. So if we want, oh no, we want the, we don't need to try get well, we can try get value. So we're asking if there is a tile at this position in this area of which layer. It's our layer -2 for now, which is gross and horrible that I'm doing it this way, but it will work. We need an out. So if we do get a tile out, so if there is a floor associated with this, or if there is a tile, there's a floor tile associated with this block, the same block that we're at, then we can do this. We can say hull, deck hull equals deck tile.hull, easy. Now what do we do? So we did that. So this only occurs if we have this. If we don't have it, oh no, this is something else. So if floor type is the equivalent, oh, if that floor type is the same as ours, then atlas chords.y. Okay. Can I do this that way? Let's see if we can do this way. So I can say, well, let's just say if decktile.hull, so if the hull type of the deck below us along this face is the same as ours, then then what we can do is we can say atlas coords equals atlas coords with y plus equals 1. Is that legal? That's probably not legal. We'd say equals y equals atlas coords dot y plus 1. That's legal. Okay, cool. Cool. Get rid of the braces. This is pretty short. Invert the if. Why? I guess that's just a preference. Okay, that's a much simpler version of this branch. Because we're sharing information, we don't need to recalculate, which is nice. Now we need to do this, though. Whatever this horrible monster is. So for adjacent face and adjacent faces, for the adjacent faces along our dimension, if hull types has the relative coords plus the adjacent face, I could say adjacent position and just declare this so we don't have to do this every time. Although it looks like we only do it twice. Oh, here's some awkward shit we do. If the hull type at this adjacent position is the same as our hull type, okay, then we do a bunch of checking. So the absolute max axis index, yeah, we increment. So the increment is 2 if the adjacent face at the absolute max axis index is greater than 0. Why is all of this italicized? It's so weird. All of the operators are italicized for some reason in GDScript when it's being rendered in Writer, and I don't understand. Otherwise, it's 1. Okay. If our dimension is x, then we do it this way. If our dimension is y, we do it this way. Awkward. This is a mess, but it works, so I'm not going to question it. And then we just assign the atlas coords. Easy. Okay, let's do it. So adjacent faces, I believe we've built this. I keep trying to jump back to Writer, but I'm already in Writer. It's funny. All right, so what am I doing? Adjacent for adjacent face and adjacent faces. Okay, for each adjacent face in where did I define adjacent faces? Here, adjacent faces. Oh, I'm back to writing GDScript variables. I like snake case. I think I like snake case. I'm going to admit this. I'm not ashamed to admit. I think I prefer snake case. I keep accidentally writing it like Z facing. I realize I could just use snake case if I want, but I try to use whatever's standard for the language I'm writing in. Sometimes that's snake case, sometimes it's not. but I think I prefer it, especially because I like writing long variable names, and it's kind of horrible to write that in like it's kind of horrible to write it in either Pascal or camel case. Snake case is beautiful, if a little long. And adjacent faces for tile dot. Oh, we need to know our axis. Axis, axis. No, tile dot. I was like, tile dot axis is not a thing, is it? It's this. Sometimes Writer like recommends me a variable that doesn't exist, and I'm like, why'd you do that to me? Why'd you get my hopes up? Oh, we're writing this in the wrong place. Also, important thing to note. We got to drag all this down. It's down here. They're digging in the wrong place. We even need to find z facing. Just say axis. We only use it in one spot. I need a static implicit operator for converting my enums to my to ints or something. Why doesn't enum have that? Oh, I guess it's because it shouldn't be implicit. It should be explicit, which is why I'm having to do it explicitly. That's fair. Although I don't. I guess you lose information because you lose the context. You're like not strictly losing. Well, I guess you are losing information when you cast an enum to an int. I like the common understanding of the word information. You're not losing data, but you are losing information. You're losing the context. What is this? A vector of some kind? Is it a vector 3? Yeah, it is. Okay, so for each adjacent face and adjacent faces, if the adjacent position, okay, so we want to know about our position plus the adjacent face. These should be called adjacent positions, not faces. This is confusing the way I've written this, but I'll change it. These are the GD script, the Godot names. I'll change them later. So if tile.position, we're going to say if tiles try get value tile.position plus adjacent face, adjacent tile. Okay, that's right. So if that's true, then we ask if the adjacent tile hull is the same as ours. When are we doing this? We're doing this for all cases. Okay. Okay. if adjacent tile.hall is the same as tile.hall, beautiful. If it's not, we just don't do anything. Okay. This is where it's going to ask me to invert this, and I'm going to be okay with it. So we have absolute max axis index equals this. Let's just copy this stuff over. Why are you upset with me? Oh, because there's no semicolons. Oh, and there's also no max axis index function. But we do have it. Oh, it's because of all this GD script biz. We would say that. Turn that into a ternary. We can totally do this. Oh, we need to cast it. Oh, it's also not called adjacent face. It's called adjacent face. So this is adjacent face dot abs dot. I have this function defined, don't I? Max axis. There we go. But do you return an int or an enum? You return an enum. Beautiful. Okay, so we convert that to an int. We don't need it here. We could say this, max axis. Take rid of this. Why does this not work? Oh, is this a property? Oh, cool. And then here we just say like this. Oh, we cast it to an int. We get the index of the max axis. Int is increment. This is fine being inverted. Now what do we do? Now we ask if our dimension is x. I could do this as a really long ternary operation, but this seems like really stupid. Oh, so you do this for x. Do we have a catch? Okay, we already have a catch. So that we're not doing anything if this is z. Right? Right? We have a catch for this, right? No? We should. Oh, the catch is only here. So this is for x or y. Okay. And then here, only if it's x do we do it this way. Otherwise, if it's x or z, or y or z, we do this. Interesting. So x is a special case. Okay, so if our axis is the same as axis.x, we'll do this. I'll rewrite this as absolute max axis. I should just save this as max axis index. We don't use that for anything. Just convert it. I could even have a max axis index, which does the conversion for me, but whatever. Who cares? Oh, wait, this is a little more complicated than a ternary operation. So this is if max axis index is greater than 0, atlas coords equals atlas coords with x equals x plus 1. I should maybe consider writing an increment, like a coordinate increment helper function. Because this is a little silly. Oh, it's plus increment. Be like two increment functions, one that takes no parameter and just increments it by one, and the other one increments it by whatever parameter you pass into it, because this is a little awkward. Oh, you can't really see what I'm doing. That's fine. I'm not doing much. I'll tell you that right now. Tell you that for nothing. So now we do the same thing on here. Well, here it's y, otherwise y. Okay, that's fine. This is y. Otherwise, we increment y. Else. So now it's the same thing but backwards, right? Yeah. All right, that's the atlas coords. It really wants me to invert this if. This shouldn't be in here, should it? I think I got the nesting wrong. No, the nesting is right. So only if we can get the value out. Okay, yeah, in that case, I guess this is fine. Oops. This is okay to invert. Oh, what did that invert the whole okay, no, we already inverted the next one. Yeah. That's good. Is that the whole atlas coords thing? Oh, then we want to assign that back, I guess. You can just say, we don't need to do that like this, do we? We can just say tile dot source ID equals tile with source ID equals this. I can just do this. Oh, we just say tile. Tile equals tile with. Why can't I do that? For each, oh no, we're saying, oh, these are immutable. I see. How do I want to do that? I guess we say tiles equal tile dot values dot to dot copy to array. Is that how we do it? I guess we're copying to an array. This is read only. We just say tile, tiles, copy to tiles. Can I not do that still? Assignment target must be an assignable variable, property, or indexer. I still can't do this. Huh? Oh, I have to say, I mean, I could just know the key and assign it back in the value collection. I kind of want to avoid doing a copy here. So can I just do this instead? I would just say tiles. How do I make the key? It's like this. I feel like setting this while iterating is bad form. I'm basically setting this tile's data back while iterating on the very tile itself. That's probably bad form. Actually, what I should be doing at this step is copying this over to like a byte array anyway, huh? Yeah, that's what I should be doing. I shouldn't be assigning this back. So let's just say source ID equals. Let's just keep it like this for now. Oh, we defined this up here. Your source ID. I call this alt tile ID. So we're gonna set all these, and then we're gonna write an entry into the buffer, not the buffer, the packed byte array. That's what we're gonna do. Instead of writing back to the tile dictionary, this is just, at this point, this is just for reading. So we're not gonna try to write back to it. So we set the, is this the whole thing? Let's make sure we finished the Atlas chords thing. We did. And then we just need this alt tiles deal. So this is the alt tiles code. It's a little questionable. Continue is maybe not the right. Oh yeah, continue just gets us out of here, right? So continue, get us out of there. Continue, get us out of there. We're not continuing out of the whole loop, are we? No, we're not. Okay. So here we say is alt tile. We can call this alt tile ID. We can just say alt tile ID equals. It's so if our axis is equal to, so if axis is equal to axis.y, it's 1. Oh, it's 1. Otherwise, it's 0. Easy. GG easy. Vitamin Games. How's it going? Welcome in. We're adapting this GD script auto tiler that we have to work in this C# simulation layer that we've written here. How's it going? What are you up to? So We don't need to do anything else. We just do that. That's just the alt tile ID. Love it. Love to see it. Now that we've done that, we need to write out to... So down here, we need to write out to the packed byte array. Oh, but not for each tile. Wait, how the F are we going to do this? Maybe we do need to write back to the dictionary entries. Because we're going to actually write out to a packed byte array for each layer. But we're iterating through the tiles themselves. So that's probably going to be its own step, honestly. Unless I want to somehow do that here. That sounds horrible. We need a better system for that. I'm trying to avoid this thing where I need to hard code every layer's implementation in here. I would rather split it up so that as I add layers, I can like add the implementation somewhere else. But I don't think that is realistic. Maybe it is. We might end up redoing more work than we want if we do it that way, though. So I don't know. Let's just do. We did this. Let's do the floor tile version, and then we can worry about that next step. Vitamin Games, random day job, game dev stuff. Taking a break to cook lunch though. Loving how much more Godot stuff YouTube is showing me. I know, right? I'm always interested in a project someone's working on, and then I'm like, oh, this is Unity. This is Unity from like, this is like a Unity version from like a few years ago. This doesn't have anything for me. Not that I want to see Unity 6 either. I'm just saying if someone's midway through a project that I'm interested in, they're probably not on Unity 6. But yeah, I love seeing Godot. I love seeing the amount of Godot that's being recommended. Are you going to stop complaining if I get rid of this? Cool. Okay, but you do care about it here. Interesting. So there's a path where this doesn't get assigned? That doesn't sound right. Yeah, here. You're like, it might not be initialized. It definitely is. It's assigned on every single path. Every single code path has an assignment to haul. Like, geez, don't tell me that this might not be assigned. Whatever. Why doesn't it complain about that down here? That's what I want to know. Because we have the same basic idea. We have some if-else blocks. Here it's like, oh yeah, no problem. It makes me a little concerned that there is a path here where it's not being assigned. I can't see it. I see a whole assignment at the termination of every one of these statements here. And maybe it's just a failing of their analyzer. Vitamin, you say, unfortunately, Unity is a necessity for your current projects, but you're working on using Godot for your next personal projects. Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I don't begrudge anyone using Unity, really. I'm not interested in anymore, but it's affected me. Like, we ended up writing a whole entity component system here to handle our simulation layer, and I did that because my last few years with Unity were all in their ECS dots environment, and that just got me hooked on that approach. And so now I'm here in Godot, and we've somehow managed to take some of Unity with us. But c'est la vie. I'm glad I've ended up becoming kind of a lunchtime stream for people. That's kind of cool. I was worried that this new time wasn't going to work and no one was going to watch. But it seems to be working out okay. Is the alt tile logic exactly the same for both of these? So that's wall layer. Let's open up floor layer. Let's do the floor layer implementation and then figure out how we're going to write this to these packed byte arrays. So is your alt tile logic exactly the same? 1 if dimension is axis y, otherwise 0. Oh, great. So I can even, excuse me, I can get rid of that. Oh, but we only define axis here. So I guess I still have to put this in here. Okay, whatever, fine. Who cares? So we'll start by throwing this in here. And then we'll write the Atlas chord part here in between. So this is the floor layers Atlas chords system. This feels more complicated. No, it's not. It's a little simpler. Or is it? Is it like exactly the same? It's a little different. Okay, I should pay attention. Seems you've been on this project a while. Yes, about a year. About a year. A lot of trying out something, doesn't work out. Try something else, doesn't work out. We really dug in and started making progress in the last few months. We've got an auto tiler. We're doing an isometric 3D implementation of FTL. So we've been mostly working on tools, but we're getting further and further. And once these tools are together, we're gonna start making content. We're gonna start prototyping gameplay. We've just been working on the prep for it for a while, ever since it became very clear how we were going to do the implementation. So yes, I've been working on it a long time. I'm not as far along as I would have liked. All right, so we declare our atlas. So all of this is basically the same. This part's basically the same. This part's the same. So here we're checking. We're figuring out the hull types of the wall that belongs to, oh, not the one that belongs to us. We're checking about the wall on some side of us. We're generating information here, and then we basically just ask this question. We ask, is the wall opposite of us a certain way? Why are we asking this when we're a floor piece? That's what I want to know. Like, why does this matter? Because we're a floor piece. Why do we care what the wall is? The wall next to us. We should care about the floor next to us. Very strange. I don't totally understand the logic of this, but it works, so I'm trying to just set that aside. Trying to just be okay with the fact that I don't understand why we're doing this. So is that initial logic like basically the same as this? Is layer -2 correct, or should it be -3? Because if we're 3, we want 0. If we're 4, we want 1. Yeah, so -3. Like the concept? I appreciate that. I have a lot of faith in the concept, which is why I'm willing to spend so much time on tools. We're going to basically do this. So we're getting, so instead of -3, we're doing +3. And we're getting out a bulk tile. Oh, I used snake case and it didn't yell at me. I'm really tempted to just switch to snake case. I like it so much better. I feel like some people would consider that heresy, but I like it so much better. It's kind of crazy. Oh, what the F did I just do? I renamed too many. I renamed too many variables. Then what's the consequence of that? We add y plus 2, not plus 1. Okay. Plus 2. Then we do our for every adjacent face. This is all the same. Just this part here at the bottom is different. Okay. So let's copy this part over. Increment is the same. 2 if it's greater than 0, otherwise 1. 2 if greater than 0, otherwise 1. Okay. It's just this part that's different. So dimension is not equals to z. So we ask, so here we're asking, is axis not equal to z? And then we're asking if the index is greater than 0. No, here we're asking if the index is less than 2. Then we add to x. So we add to y. Okay, and then here we have an elif. In this case, if it's greater than 0, we add to y. Cool. Okay, that's it. Tools are great. You built an editor, so good it became part of the game. Well, all for the good tools. Snake case is great. You use it for all internal function variables. Nice. Yeah, I'm tempted to head that direction. Oh God, see, I even did it here. The absolute, because I like that. I like this rendering of something ridiculous like this, like absolute max axis index. Instead, I have to rewrite it as this, which is fine. It becomes so much harder for me to read these things the more stuff I put. And I like fairly verbose variable names. So I don't know. I try to do whatever the standard is for the language I'm writing in, and the style here is kind of this, but I don't know. At a certain point, I should probably just do what makes me happy, right? I also kind of don't want to maximize the amount of horizontal space I use, so I guess having all of those underscores would kind of affect that to an extent. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. You only use camel at the global class level personally. I might adopt that. That sounds tempting, because then at a surface layer, people see the code, they'll be like, this is normal. And then if they go deep in, maybe I'll adopt the GDScript naming convention. I don't know. It would certainly make it easier to go back and forth, or the more of the GDScript style guide. Maybe not all of it, obviously, but yeah. So currently, we have this auto tiler tool. This is what we're working on. And it's mostly about just helping us with both the outlining as well as helping us with what I call hull types, which is like what tile sets should be getting drawn from. So like here it's switching because it can tell when faces are smushed up against each other, so it changes to that dark color. Can also tell if a compartment is self-contained, and it changes to that lighter color. So we're doing a lot of auto tiling, and that's kind of what we're working on. We're rewriting the auto tiler to take the data from our C# simulation layer and rewrite from that. Because right now we're drawing directly on the tile map layer pretty much. Like we're doing it all in GD script. And I kind of want to, I want it to, be powered by our entity component system. I need to come up with some new demos for this. I do basically the same thing every time. Gotta make a ceiling. There you go. I need the auto tiler to handle corner cases better. Right now the corner case thing is failing a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Like, what's going on here? No, I guess that's technically correct. It's just awkward looking. Thank you. Appreciate the interest in this stuff. Would the tiles be just for the ships, or would they be like worlds or something? It's going to be mostly ships because it's FTL, so it's not like there aren't going to be planets. Maybe there will be like mining bases on like asteroids or something like that, or star bases or whatever. So there's going to be, but it's going to be, maybe there will be bases on the planet, but they'd be very small. They'd be like the size of a ship or something like that. So yeah, I mean, it needs to be able to handle like away missions, right? Like little set pieces that you teleport to or dock with or whatever. All right, so now we have all of this stuff. So is this okay? So because this system stays up to date, turns an instance of whatever, containing all the values, whatever, or whatever. It's not a static copy. This refers back to the values in the original dictionary, so changes are reflected. Okay, so I think it's fine if I get to the end of this and then I assign back. So I'm going to get to the end of this, and I'm just going to say tiles, whatever, this. I might have a dot key helper function or something to make this easier to build. Instead of having to write this out every time. But let's not worry about that right now. So we're going to say tiles equals tile with, we'll do it like this. Source ID equals source ID, atlas coords equals atlas coords, alternative tile equals alt tile ID. Like that. And that is the second pass that we need to do. And then we have all of this stuff. Then we have another challenge. And I want to know, and I got to decide how I want to do that. Wasn't sure how far you'd stray from the general formula. That makes sense though, very cool. Yeah, it's kind of, I'm trying to stick with like the original impetus. I'm definitely going bigger in terms of scale and scope. Which we'll see. We'll see if we can maintain. I think the fact that I'm not handcrafting the ships like Justin of Subset Games had to do, like the fact that they're not hand-drawn pixel ships should help as far as being able to support a wider range of designs. But that's only because I'm coding out this whole auto tiling system. All right, okay, so we have a tile. It's got everything that we need to render it in theory. I guess I should do a sanity check and try to play this, try to run this. See if we get any... Oh, we're not even running the system though. Actually, that's not even going to work. I'm just going to deal with that once we should be having something show. Because if we don't have anything rendering, I'm not going to be able to debug this. So we get all of that. We have a tile with all of its information now. It's got its hull, its source ID, its atlas chords, its position, area, layer. Got all that stuff, all that good stuff. Now what we need to do is we need to put this into packed. We need a dictionary. We need another dictionary, which is like, so the third pass, the third pass of this. Actually, do we need a third pass or can we do this as part of the second pass? We can make a dictionary. Should it be a dictionary? Yeah, it's gonna be a dictionary of, it's gonna be keyed by a vector2, which is gonna be area and layer. And its value is gonna be a byte array. Does that sound right? Or is that not, that's probably not what we want. Is it gonna be a list? It's probably gonna be a list of byte. And this is gonna be, I'm just gonna call it bytes. I have this dictionary of lists so we can iterate through as we go along, adding each tile to this list. We need to do a little bit of prep, but we can do this. I might call this data, or I might call this, I could call it tile map data, but it's like data for each layers. Maybe like layer data. I don't know. We got to figure out where we're going to store this. So should I just do this as part? Because if I do this as part of this process, I actually don't need a dictionary of the full thing. Oh, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to grab some water. I need my Twitch bot to tell me when ads are coming up because I don't notice half the time. And I just let the ad pass through and I forget to do things like get water. All right, so what we're doing now is now that we know all the data for each tile, we're basically packing in byte arrays that we're going to hand back to Godot. And it's going to just shove those in, the tile map data for each layer. And that is how we're going to get information back from the simulation layer. That's how we're going to get tile data, at least, back from the simulation layer into Godot. We're doing all the calculations here so that we're minimizing the amount of marshalling. The only marshalling that's happening is sending the packed byte arrays back. And that's pretty much the best case scenario, I think, as far as, I mean, the best case scenario would be not doing it at all, but we're doing something. So I mean, I can assign this back here. I don't need to, though. Kind of want to do this differently. Kind of want to only store hull data here at this phase. I could do that. I guess I don't care. I'm just not using this. And we don't need to do another pass. We can just take these values and go with this because this doesn't need to be a whole pass. Or we don't need a third pass to do this. I mean, we could do it in a third pass. I guess I don't care really. I don't think we're going to do this like this forever, but I'm just going to do it like this for now. I think I'm going to change this. We don't need to do a third pass, but we're going to do it. Third pass to build out the byte arrays to send back to, we're going to call it the tile map data byte arrays. What just happened here? So this is where we're going to declare our, what happened to my bytes? I guess I erased it. Dictionary, vector2i, byte, list of bytes. So here we're going to say if bytes dot try get value new, it's going to be vector2i. We're going to say, should it be area and then layer or layer and then area? Area is like where you're at vertically, which is, I know, super confusing. Area is like the vertical arrangement. Like which area do you belong to? This area or this area or this area. And then layer is like within that area, which I know an area shouldn't have layers. It's the tile map layer specifically that we're talking about. God, I hate naming things. I'm going to put layer first. And then area. I guess it literally doesn't matter as long as I'm consistent about it. Tile.layer, tile.area, out. Oh, bytes. This is another. I'm going to call this data. Out. List. Byte. Bytes. upset about a possible literal nullable null value here. But why does that matter? Because I'm doing an if. So if we have a key for this, then great. Otherwise, we'll make one. Say else data.add this. A new list. Don't understand why this is a problem. You can just say this though, right? No. I can only do that when I'm using it. Quite the mouthful. Yeah. Just remember whatever you pick. Yeah, well, at least it's written down, right? Maybe I should do this the other way, where I try to add it. Because I don't want to have this be split like this. I could say, so if I do it by a triad, so I'd say something like list. Well, no, I don't want to do that every time. Maybe we just do it like this. So here we add it. Or I guess we do the calculation, then we add it. I guess we do this at the bottom, so we don't care. We set up the value that we want. I don't want to. I don't want to actually operate directly in bytes, do I? I want to use like short or something, so I don't have to worry about encoding. Let's do that, because I could probably reinterpret this. You got to head back to work. This is a cool project. Try to stop by again next time. No worries. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Happy Friday. Hopefully this is the last day for the week for you. Yeah, as Ryson said, you can always join the Discord. It's a good way to get notifications, if nothing else. Yeah, there should be a link tree on the channel page or the description or something. But yeah, we have a Discord. It's small, but it's got notifications because I know the YouTube Go Live notifications aren't great. But yeah, I don't know if your question is what's Discord versus where's the Discord. No worries if you don't use Discord. Just ring the bell or whatever, whatever the thing people says to turn their YouTube notifications on. So what are we doing? We're trying to make this data here. I should actually change how this data structure works. I should do some things. I should get hull out of here. And I should use this just for this last part. Actually, I should get, yeah, I should change how this works. We could have tile data be something different. Let me think about this for a second. I would like to have a struct that just has all of the correct values, and then I just shove them in. I mean, this is that. This is a struct with all the correct values, so I guess it's fine. It just has more information than we need. So what we would say is we'd say, okay, so if it's new, we would say, can I say short 1? So we have a header, which we need to add whenever there's a new one. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. I have Discord. I have bot commands on Twitch. I need to turn them on for YouTube. Because on Twitch, I can just be like Discord and like share the Discord. But I don't have it set up for YouTube. I should do that. So I can use Discord commands. Or not Discord commands, bot, stream, like, I don't know, chat commands. But I do really hope, appreciate you hanging out. I hope you have a great weekend. So what we're doing at the moment is we're making a thing. Let's do this like this. Who cares? So we're going to say values.add. We're just going to add a bunch of values. It would be cool if we had a list of tiles, then we turned that list into an array of bytes. So would we do byte.parse? No, that doesn't make sense. Array convert all. Is this the preferred, is this the expected way to do an array conversion? The problem is that the byte array will have twice the number of elements as the short array. So I feel like maybe I can't do that. And maybe I just have to do this manually. Yeah. I want to convert something to a byte array. What I need to do is I need to convert to a 16-bit unsigned integer, and then I need to put that into byte array. That's like what I have to do, which is unfortunate. Maybe I can go directly from 32-bit signed to byte. Hopefully that doesn't mess it up. This doesn't create multiple values is the thing, though. That's what I need to understand how to do. Or I can just do it by hand. Not by hand, but you know. Encode bytes. How are we going to do this? I don't want to know string to byte conversion. Yeah, here's a good way to convert between shorts and bytes. Yeah, I feel like this is what I need to do. I need to do a bunch of bit shifting and storing the two halves of the values. Use bit converter. What's that? Number of bytes converted. Oh, we want to go the other way around. I could just do this. All right, how does the bit converter work? Okay, this can convert stuff to an array of bytes. I love that. So I can cast to a short, an unsigned uint16, which is what I believe tile map data expects in most cases. And then I can get bytes for the uint16. I think that's what I need to do. Get bytes uint16. This is going to be terrible. This is going to use so much. It's probably going to allocate a shit ton of memory. Doing this for everything. But what if I can do this on the array level, that would be like the best, but I don't know how to do that. Maybe I need to do some research before I move on to the next step of this. The order of bytes in the array returned by the getBytes method depends on whether the computer architecture is little endian or big endian. That could also be a huge problem for us someday. Because I think the tile map data thing is checking that and doing some conversion. You know what I can do? I can use span. I could use span for this. Because span just has this out of the box, right? No, that doesn't work. Span doesn't, well, maybe span works. Because the way we do this when we're doing this for our components, if I can find them, is for our components we have our chunk. Our chunk is a memory buffer of byte, right? So we store our memory in byte form. And then when we actually need it, what we do, let's go to the component. It's probably here, component. When we actually need it, we say read only or read write or whatever, and we say memory marshal.cast from byte to t. And we pass it in the span. So we take a span and we cast it. And that works. So we should be able to go the other way, right? We go from size to size, and we go from length to to length. So we are changing the length of this. Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're going to do that. Because then we can just put everything in there and then cast it. That presumes that all of the stuff in there are uniform. So we do have to break up the, we do have to break up, what does this return? Does this return a span? It does. Then we're going to need to figure out how to get it back. This is interesting. This is an interesting problem. So I do like that though. I like that better than whatever we're doing here. This is the problem with using one huge dictionary. If we were doing this per layer, we could do this in a much easier way. And we could have memory associated with each layer for this purpose. Like we could have a buffer on each layer that is just for this. The problem is the only buffers I've written so far are static buffers. I would need a dynamic buffer because it would be different size, but that wouldn't be that hard to do. Okay, okay. I think this is going to be good. I think we just need to figure out, we need to answer some questions. Let's look. .NET 8. Let's say span. Let's go look at span. So I could copy the content of the span into a new array. Span has a specific length. I think I need to look at the memory store that we use. Not what I wanted to do. Memory. Show me memory. Memory. So we do something else for our buffers. We don't do the exact same thing. We don't have a memory of bytes for our buffer. Our buffer is made up of something else. Our buffer, if we go over to the world, God, I have too many files open. Close all, please. Thank you. Let's start over. So open up the game script, open up the world script. So our buffers are just straight up memory owners here. How do we get those? So they're not memories, they're just the memory owners. It's an interesting difference. The reason we don't do that is our chunks are structs, whereas here we're storing this in a dictionary on the world. So for the component chunks, we're storing the memory owners in a separate location, and then we're going straight to the span. So we're not using an intermediate memory to hold them. So where do we create a buffer? This is where we create a buffer ID. Do we just have a concept of add buffer and that's it? Yeah, we say buffer memory map dot add memory owner byte dot allocate. So we probably need to allocate a new amount of memory, which is not great. I think we're going to have a tile map like memory store or something. So we can rent and return memory. I mean, right now, whatever, we don't really care. I mean, right now we're controlling, because so when we remove a buffer or we destroy an entity, when we destroy a buffer, we dispose of that memory. We could do something similar. But that is really supporting the idea, or that is really reinforcing the concept of layers as entities, tile map layers as entities, and then we give them each a buffer. The only bummer of that is the resizable aspect of it. I don't think I can resize these easily. I probably can though. Let's go look at so how am I allocating these? Am I just going from the memory store here? Add buffer. Oh. Public function, private function, right? Yeah, add buffer. These are in a weird order. Oh no, this is public. Add buffer. Memory owner. Dot allocate. Okay. Let's go look at memory owner. Where's memory owner? What? Oh, you're in the high performance kit. Right. Oh, is there also a span owner? Oh shit. This is what we want, right? Stack only? Oh, maybe not. This is particularly useful for short-lived buffers that are only used in synchronous code. That's us. That's us, though. That's maybe what we want. We could just set it up with memory owner first and then change it. The issue for me is that I guess maybe that is right. So instead of storing this on a buffer, we're actually just going to make it as we need it. We do need to, we'll make it, turn it into an array, a byte array, and then send it back. Something like that. Because we are going to reallocate this like every time. Like this is not something we store and then retrieve. I mean, maybe it is eventually. But for right now, we're just going to remake it from scratch. So we're going to just rent this. Maybe we rent it, set it into the output so that Godot can pull it in, and then we just dispose of them all the next frame. I have to think about that. I have to learn more about what the marshalling is going to look like. But yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. I think we're on the right track. I think I need to decide where we store this and how long their lifespans are. And I need to understand more about getting it back to the Godot side and how that works. Default marshalling behavior. Default marshalling for arrays. System array class. That's what's happening behind the scenes with memory. It's just a T, just an array of type. Okay, but what happens when I go the other way? Hey, Burlock Lion, how's it going? What about going the other way? I guess I have to read somewhere else about what happens. I guess I don't have to worry about this much because Godot is reference counted and C# is memory managed. So I feel like I'm going to not worry about this until we get more complicated with our memory management. You just sent your new Steam page off to Valve for review. Hell yes, that's awesome. How are you finding C# and Godot? We're doing okay. We're at this point where we need to prepare some byte arrays to send back to Godot that are going to be, taken in as packed byte arrays. And I'm just figuring out how to do that in the way that's best. I think we're going to prep it on our side using like a span or something that we rent from a memory owner. I'm just triggering. I guess it can't be a span. Like the thing we put in the output should probably be something that's heap allocated, so it should probably be a memory. Or just a byte array, just a straight up byte array. Maybe we just declare byte arrays and we just don't worry about this. And we try to get more clever with it later. What if we do that? What if we do that instead? We're also going to need some kind of object that contains information about it, aren't we? I need some kind of intermediate that can keep track of this stuff as we send tilemap data back and forth. And by send back and forth, I mean keep sending from the C# side over to the Godot side. I need some way of knowing where it's going to end up. The tilemap snapshot was a really great way of doing that on the of handling tilemap data on the Godot side by itself, because the tilemap snapshot would compress a bunch of tile maps into a bunch of tile map data into a single packed byte array, and then it would uncompress them and reassign them back. So maybe I need to go back to the tile map snapshot way of doing things. Like we send over just one packed byte array per ship. Maybe we just send something like a tile map snapshot. I don't know. We just pack it all in there. Well, this is the layer count. These are the layer sizes. This is for one tile map. This presumes that, oh no, the layer sizes are different because they're just an array. Okay. Yeah, maybe we do that because then we're just sending one big ass, well, we're sending more than just a byte array. We're sending like a class back, but that's probably better than trying to be too clever about this. I might need to think about this. I might need to think about this a little more before we get to the next step. But we had a really good day today. We had a really productive day. We worked on our tile system, which now is able to figure out all of the tile information that's needed for each tile. Like it can figure out, it looks at all the blocks, figures out how those blocks are going to be rendered by the auto tiler, and then sets all of that. It essentially is the auto tiler. And it preps all of that in this dictionary of all the tiles that are currently being used. Now we just need the next step, which is to get the dictionary, basically get all of this data back through in the correct format. And that's just what I'm thinking about now. And I feel like that is a lot to figure out at this exact moment. I think I need to do some research on how I want to do that. Or we just pick up tomorrow and I've done no prep and we just struggle through it tomorrow. That's probably more likely what happens. But maybe I'll have time tomorrow morning to do research. Or tonight, although I feel like I'm not going to want to do research tonight. So we're not going to put it in a list of shorts. That seems really stupid. What we should do, what I thought would be cool, would be to plug it into this big array. Plug it in the correct form. I guess doing it as shorts is fine. The complicating thing is the tile map data has a header that we need to respect, but maybe we can do that on the snapshot side. Because we take this big tile map data packed byte array, and then over here we're making smaller ones, right? Like when we unpack a tile map data, we start decoding values. Oh, we're just decoding the full-on values, are we? And then we just send... Oh no, we're just slicing the packed byte array. Okay. If we do that, if we do a slice approach, we'll need to make sure we include the header. Or maybe we don't. I never dealt with the header here. Maybe I was handling it automatically by just looking at, so we append a tile map data, we take the layer count +1, layer sizes dot append layer data. Oh no, we were just counting the header. So we need to make sure we're adding the header. So if we do a slice, we need to do a slice and then we need to like prepend a value, or we need to just make sure we're including a header for every slice somehow. I don't really care how. Man, we were packing the layer sizes and the layer count in as an additional header. That's wild. Okay. Okay, I think we can do this. Oh yeah, because you would just figure this out. Because the first number, well, hold on. So when I would unpack you, your layer count was the very first value. These were S64s. I'm not going to encode these as S64s. I'll probably also encode them as shorts, U16s. So we could put the total layer count or the total count of the number of tile map layers first. Or we could have two numbers. We could have the number of areas, which are the discrete, like, regions. Like, I don't know what the right word is. The levels. We could have level, then layer, which is ambiguous. I need to find a better terminology. Either way, you could have the number. Here are the number of levels. Here are the number of layers, and then we just start pulling out the sizes. And we pull out the sizes by decoding for the layer index times whatever the size here is, times 8 plus 8. Okay. So we can pull out all of this information first. Okay, so that's just a little bit of extra stuff to put on here. And then the data itself, we can just slice off from that layer count times 8 plus 8. I was just sending one thing back. Begin, end. Oh, were we just slicing off the header and then sending everything else back? Okay, I have some ideas. I have some ideas about how we're going to do this. So we would do that, and then we would what? Slice them up further? Layer begins. Tilemap data dot slice, layer begins, layer ends. Okay, let's look at somewhere we actually use this. Stardock. Load. Where's the load? I have a load function here somewhere, unless I deleted it because it wasn't working. No, it should be up here. Load game. So we would say, so we would unpack the tile data. Tilemap snapshot dot unpack tilemap data. File as bytes. So we'd unpack it. Oh, we're unpacking it into the snapshot, right? Then restore tilemap snapshot. I wouldn't even have to send in the snapshot. Shouldn't I have to do that? Block history dot append tilemap snapshot. I see. I would put that in, then I would restore it, and restoring it looks like something. Interesting. You didn't realize I was doing C# and GDScript. Yeah, it's more pain than maybe it's worth. I probably would be better off not, but to me, the divisions of responsibility are pretty stark. I say stark, but it's obviously become more confusing. It's like the C# stuff should only be handling the simulation layer, like the transforms on like the game data. And then back in the node tree, you know, GDScript, the nodes handle their own stuff. The nodes handle like input, they handle rendering, they handle animating. None of that stuff needs to touch the C# world. That should all be done here. The awkward part is just when I'm trying to send information back that's big or complicated. So, okay, so when we restore a tilemap snapshot, we grab the tilemap snapshot, We start with 0, and then for each ship, tilemap data is tilemap data.slice. Ah, so we tell them the index of the data we want, and we just slice it off. Oh, so the tilemap snapshot, when it's unpacking it, it stores this, it stores the packed tilemap data, and it's just slicing the header off of it. So it reads the header, it reads this temporary header to figure out how many layers are here and what are their sizes. It stores that in these local variables, and then it slices them off so that when the tilemap layers actually want their data back, they just call slice tilemap data for the layer index, and we just pull it out. Okay, that works. That works as long as we don't account for the header. Well, as long as we don't mistakenly record the header as being part of any of this stuff. Oh, that's for the packing. So it's this packing part is where we're putting back in. Okay, that's sick. We can use something like this. So we could send over one huge packed byte array, and then the tilemap snapshot could figure this out. Maximum warp. Thanks, No Joel. So you could call it directly from GD. Yeah, I could, couldn't I? You wonder if you could extend the C# code into GD via extension or DLL or something. If I wrote this, instead of C#, we wrote the entity component system in C++, we could have done that. We could have done that. I know there's an intent that eventually the C# stuff basically acts as an extension. And it's not currently where we're at. But I'm kind of okay with this because even if we did write the entity component system in C++, then if we still had a systems-based approach, it wouldn't totally work right. It would be complicated. But since we're writing it this way, it's pretty clear to me how to do the systems in C#. It's a familiarity thing. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe someday we can do something like that. But for right now, we're just trying to keep the division very, very clean. Okay, I have some ideas. I need to wrap it up now. We've been live for about 3 hours, and I need to go do some laundry before I got to get back to my day job. But this has been pretty awesome, and this has been a pretty great day. I appreciate the new folks and the familiar folks that have all hopped in here. I think we're in a good spot. I just need to figure out that final piece of like how are we have all of the tile data we need now from the auto tiler, from our tile system. We can just plug that in to the tilemap layer's tile data, and the tile map will just render correctly. So that's great. We just need to figure out the last step of encapsulating that data and getting it over. And once we do that, we'll be in good shape. No, Joel, you just tuned in when the stream is ending. I know that's sad. But I'll be live tomorrow. I stream on Saturdays, so I don't know. Can always hang out. Do some test attempts. Yeah. I'll probably mostly do research on some of the implications of passing memory back and forth and how that works. And also whether I want to store the memory on the C# side for more than one frame. Because like it needs to be available long enough to get back, and it's a bit intermediary. Yeah. Peace. Exactly. Let me turn the music on, and we can play ourselves out here. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, give or take. Well, not give or take place, but time. On a Saturday, I tend to start later. Tend to start a little later and go a little later because I don't have work. But we'll see. We'll see how I feel. For now, I gotta go get some lunch and get some laundry going. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Maximum warp. Maximum warp.